Hello, it's Scott Newcomb with Zenvi AI, and welcome to the Systems Are Sexy podcast. Today, I'm joined by Jared Frankum with Electrum Texas. Jared's been building in the Texas real estate space with a strong focus on relationships, deal flow, and navigating a market that's constantly shifting. So I'm excited to jump in what's working, what's changing, and where he sees opportunities moving forward. So welcome to the show, Jared. How are we doing?
Thank you. Thank you for having me on here. I'm doing fantastic.
Yeah, let's start at the beginning here. Maybe just people are listening in aren't familiar with what you guys do. Can you tell us about your business and what problems you guys are trying to solve?
Yes. So we find heavily discounted off-market properties typically. Now we aim to solve sellers who work with homeowners who have property that either A, it's too much work for them, or maybe they've inherited something that they don't want to mess with any longer, or maybe they've gotten behind, or maybe it's just too much house and they want to downsize and they don't want to deal with listing and everything. So we come in and we'll buy the home directly. Or we will work with licensed agents who can help list it if that's the right choice. Or maybe we'll work up a structure where we can make payments to them over time. So we help buy houses more than just your typical realtor route. Sometimes it's not the best way, especially when organizing showings in a really filthy area is kind of not the best feel for the homeowner. And so we really look to see what is it that the homeowner is wanting to achieve, and then we meet them where they are and come up with a number of solutions. And we would love to offer that to a lot more people, because most people think the only way to sell a house is just you call a realtor and that's it. Well, maybe they don't want to wait for it to sit on the market, especially now for like 6 months plus, and have multiple price drops, and then you have to do all these repairs, etc.
Yeah. So let's say someone's listening right now that maybe is interested in getting into the space and maybe doesn't have a lot of money. And I know you kind of had that start with no capital basically. I'm wondering
Yeah.
what were those early days like and how did you progress to where you are now?
Yes. So great questions. When I started, I knew I wanted to get into real estate in some capacity. And I didn't know what I was doing other than, well, if I want to get started, I should probably go ahead and learn like my local area. And so I got on my skateboard. I kid you not, I got on my skateboard. I would drive my car to the middle of a neighborhood because I didn't have enough money for gas, like to keep driving. So I would drive in the middle of the neighborhood, get my skateboard, and go up and down each street, full like city block size. I would write down addresses of homes that looked like they needed some love. Maybe that's tired paint peeling stuff, stacked up mail in the yard, or junk cars. I mean, just stuff that didn't seem like it was a well loved and cherished and cared for updated house. And I would do a couple things. I would get a piece of tape and like write a little note and tape it to the front door, or I would write letters. And I had a little database of several hundred houses that I had done like this, and just sending mail. I eventually got a response through email and found someone who was ready to sell. And I'm like, man, what do I do here? Someone wants to sell me their house. And it was simple. Like the letter I said was, hey, I love your house. I buy houses with who people may have problems or back taxes or inheritance or whatever, but reach out to me if you want to sell your house. Not that I had cash or whatever to buy it myself, but I knew, man, if I could find a good deal, I could find the cash. And what I ended up doing on those first couple ones was, I kind of stumbled into this on accident, was, well, I can't buy it, but maybe someone else in the real estate. So I went to the local real estate investor groups and found someone who wanted to buy that deal from me. And so they had basically paid me a finder's fee to sell them that deal. And I did that a few times, started liking it, but man, I always wanted to own property. And so we continued that, and I started buying a house. Eventually, banks wanted to work with me, and I bought a house and then bought another house. And then here we go. We're building and renovating, and really enjoy that. I really enjoy seeing the progression of going from skateboarding around looking for houses to now buying a beat up house in a good neighborhood and help bolstering the values, improving the neighborhood, doing meaningful changes to the market. So that's I guess the natural progression that we've done, and we would love to do a lot more of it because uh, the getting to see the final product is so rewarding.
Yeah. So are you doing wholesale flips, buy and hold? What is your focus right now?
Yeah, it's always, since the beginning, have always wanted to buy and hold. So I wanted to, but of course, to earn an active income, we have to flip as well. And then we will wholesale. So we will wholesale typically if all of our contractors are full, or if we've got enough projects active, we'll wholesale them off to some other investors so we can share the love that way too. But ever since the beginning, we wanted to buy, and kind of build a portfolio.
What's currently driving most of your deal flow right now?
Like, how are we finding the most of them?
Yeah, exactly.
That has changed over time. Early on, it was like handwritten postcards. Then I started getting a lot into cold calling and cold text messaging, and we did online ads there. Last year they worked really well and then fell off. And then now we're really heavy into direct mail. So we're sending different kinds of postcards, letters, different size things to Polk County.
Yeah, I'm curious how that shifted for you because you've tried a couple different platforms in order to get deal flow, but sometimes it's picked up. You kind of mentioned Facebook fell off, and then direct mail is working for you right now. Like
Mhm.
how has this shifting affected your pipeline and how you're trying to attack deal flow now? Because it sounds like for you it's been unpredictable.
Yeah, it has, and I think that's just because I during that early post-COVID era. So I started in 2019, just for what it's worth. That early post-COVID era, there was so many deals. There were so many deals. It was a lot significantly easier than it is now to find them. And at the time, I only had to spend with all of my software, all of my uh, data, tools, everything. I may need to spend $1,000 in a month to find a house, which is, man, what a great contract, right? And I rode that wave as long as I could. It stir shaken, when the legislation came into place for cold calling, that really made a big hiccup. The text messaging got slashed, and so we had to pivot, and we pivoted to something else, and then it was doing great. Like Facebook ads were doing phenomenal. Either legislation or something outside of my control has changed it. And what I realized is I need to stop focusing. If I want to build a business and not just have a job for myself, I have to stop focusing on, am I just going to spend a little bit of money? Like, I don't stop focusing on the spend and focus on the return. And if I'm going to get big returns, I need to spend. And so I had been real hesitant even to do Facebook ads, been real hesitant to do big direct mail because I know it's a more expensive channel. I was real excited about keeping or having high margin, which cold calling does, and it still does. It requires a ton of horsepower. We call cold calling stuff like that, like outbound marketing. You're really going out to be a hunter, and where your things like direct mail or online digital ads and things, it's kind of like you're gathering rather than going to hunt. You're just they come to you and you pick them up. But there's a cost to that. And so anyway, I decided, well, if we want to build and really grow this thing, we can't play in this small playground anymore. We've got to level up our marketing, and because it's really a numbers game. And so we've really gone heavy, and it's really starting to bear fruit. It's really cool, really really cool.
Yeah, kind of to that point, where do you feel most of the results are coming from? Is it outbound or inbound?
Right now, inbound is crushing it for us. We're still doing some cold calling, nowhere near like what we were, but that's kind of the point. Is we wanted to focus on people who are already ready to make a decision on selling their house, or at least interested, and we could guide them on what their options might look like. And uh, that's a way different game than just smiling and dialing, hitting the cold caller like crazy. And I don't know. There's some people, I think every marketing channel works. I mean, there's some people that just won't ever check their mail ever, and they'll only answer a phone call. There's some people that never answer, especially nowadays, will never answer their phone if it's not someone that's already saved as a contact. I mean, who remembers phone numbers anymore? I mean, we're just our smart technology. We don't even need to remember phone numbers. But it's what we've discovered. It's what we focus on and what we measure, what we give care and attention to, and that's what grows. So right now we've decided it was Facebook ads, and it quit working. And so now we're doing direct mail, and man, it's really taken off. And so we're wanting to double down and invest in it more, and double down and again. And it's really cool to start seeing something that we start small, and it really really generates kind of the snowball effect.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was kind of leads to my next question was, if there is one part of your business or one aspect to it that you could solve that would make it significantly easier to hit your growth goals, whether it's just a new strategy or way to
Hmm.
automate. And have you ever thought about like, if I could turn this one lever, this would really turn it up?
Well, I think that's one of the best things about business. There's always so many levers that we
Right.
want to pull, but we really need to focus. A good mentor of mine, he always tells me, focus on revenue, put revenue in first position. Anything else that isn't tied to revenue, it may be a great project, but it's not what we need to focus on today. And so right now, thankfully, we've solved quite a lot in the business. And really the thing is we just simply need more qualified opportunities, more leads, so to speak, people who are ready to have a conversation about their house. Where before there was also, I mean, we didn't have a system to underwrite or figure out the numbers on a deal. We didn't have a good system to reach out to people again to follow back up, or if they had even signed a contract elsewhere to make sure that they had closed. And we had solved all those things. But now the biggest thing is we need more opportunities. And that's going to come with, as we get more revenue in, we send more revenue out in marketing, and that's a cycle. But that being said, there's the whole administrative side. If that could be eliminated, that's just fewer decisions that we have to spend brain power on. Like right now, I'm working on using AI to find and update county data that we can get, homeowners, like foreclosures and that sort of thing, that can automatically send that to us. So that way I don't have to go and file an open records request and go to the courthouse and check this and that. So we're working on allowing AI to really help do kind of a first pass in our comparable analysis that we're doing. I think that's all roads right now are leading to AI. It's not because it shouldn't make us lazy. I think a lot of people want AI as a easy button, just I don't want to do the work, whatever, but it should actually enable us to work more, work better, work more efficiently, higher output, stronger output, right? Rather than just kind of let it do it for you and then you don't pay attention to anything. I don't think AI will really make a big difference if you don't treat it well. And so the more we put into it, the more we should get out of it. But anyway, I think all the administrative stuff, data management, spreadsheets, looking at KPI numbers, filling out forms, anything that basically like a secretary could do, man, we're really focusing on that. Just when we're not having to spend brain power or mental focus or time on stuff that isn't focused on revenue, right? The big important things we should focus on is our sales calls, on making sure that we're listening and understanding what sellers want, making sure that we can arrange funding. Like we raise private money, and what a great way to fund deals too, right? But if all I'm spending my time is, if I have a full day of the week that I'm doing list management and sorting and updating, and that's not time that I could be spent doing higher leverage tasks.
Yeah, absolutely. Of course. Yeah. Um, I wanted to chat with you about, because you operate in maybe a smaller market than most other companies do. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering, how does that, since you focus on Lubbock, Texas, I'm wondering how does that change your approach versus if you were just targeting Dallas or the DFW area?
I don't know if it would necessarily change the approach. My goal isn't to be the biggest or this highest volume or whatever. I want to be the absolute best at what it is that we do. And so I want to make sure that every opportunity that we come in contact with, we serve it to the highest of our ability and continue to develop that. And by increasing that, we're growing. So I say I don't know if it really matters where it is, so to speak, as long as it's because I'm originally from Dallas. As you mentioned Dallas, I grew up there. I went to college in Lubbock, and long story short, so I stuck. I didn't know any better. In Lubbock, I chose just because, well, I went to college there. I know the city, and well, real estate's cheaper, so I guess I should start where it's cheaper. I didn't know that I could back then. I had no clue I could find real estate with no money down, or I could get paid to buy my own deal. I mean, just crazy stuff. I didn't realize that was possible. And since we started there, we're building and growing. Our plan actually is to expand throughout the whole state. We're doing some in Dallas. We're doing some in Austin. We're doing some in Abilene, Amarillo. But anyway, I think the goal is figure out for anyone listening, is what is it that you want to solve in your, like in real estate. If you want to solve something, and be the absolute best at it. And as you get great, you will be profitable and you will grow and you will expand. But don't focus on growth just at all costs. I want to do more deals. Slow is smooth, smooth is fast.
Yeah.
I remember that from a movie, Shooter, that Mark Wahlberg movie. So I'm sure we would love to have done more business and have been further along. But I think every entrepreneur thinks that way. I wish we were 10 times further along than we are. But when we look back, man, we actually went pretty fast.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. Never goes as fast as you want, as in all aspects of our life, I feel like. We chat about a little bit AI, and you had mentioned you kind of experimented with a little bit, and I'm wondering, when it relates to AI, what do you feel has been the most useful so far?
Man, several things. One is using Chat GPT or Claude or whichever version of that as a thought partner. Because again, if we can get things out of our head and in front of us, it allows us to analyze it, handle it, take care of it, and then move on. When it stays in our head, it really ties up a lot of mental space. So we use it as a thought partner all the time. And one of the things I love doing, using ChatGPT just as a thought partner regularly, is, hey, I've got this problem, but let's just say we want to create a process for reaching out to this amount of people by this amount of time and this and this and that. and I'll put some objective, and then I'll say, ask me questions one at a time to give you more context and to generate a better result. And so when it asks me questions, I'm able to feed it a whole lot of info and give it a ton of context. And then it'll spit out some answer. And then now, okay, I've got some instruction. And then I'll say, break this down into granular, actionable, doable steps one by one until you get the result. So then now I don't even have to think about what is this project. I can get at least a starting point on actionable steps that I can take. And it reduces that mental struggle of trying to get started, especially. That's one of the big things. And then where I'm in the middle of experimenting with using AI as an agent where it's actually doing things for me now, like going to websites, filling in forms and clicking things, extracting data. I'm not very far along yet, but I'm figuring that out. I'm in that journey of figuring out how to use it and test it and make sure I can basically hit go and it'll go do it for me. And I think that'll be major. Like if I don't have to go update spreadsheets anymore or pull information and file it correctly and all that, it's just stuff I don't have to deal with.
Yeah. On the flip side of that, where do you think it's fallen short for you today in your business?
Good question. AI falling short. ChatGPT, any of the models. I just say that because that's one that we use a lot. It makes a lot of mistakes, especially when we don't prompt it well. It makes a ton of mistakes, but it comes off so confident. It really gaslights us. So it gives you this whole thing, and here's why. But then it's something that like you know that you're right, and it can really steer you the wrong way. So we really have to verify everything. But we've noticed what helps avoid that is giving it a ton more context and being very, very clear. There's I think AI will only be as good as the prompts. And so we really have to get good at prompting. And the way that a good training to get good at prompting is, I don't know if you've ever seen, there's even videos on YouTube of a dad, and he's got two kids, a young son and a young daughter. And he asked them, give me instructions on how to make a peanut butter jelly sandwich. Essentially prompt me. The video has nothing to do with AI, but it's so applicable because the kids, they're young, elementary school age, and they say, grab the bread. So he just grabs the whole loaf of bread still in the plastic. Put the peanut butter on it. So he just scoops his hand in there and slaps he's doing what it says. The instructions weren't very clear. And then the other kid says, well, put the knife into the peanut butter. Well, that's closer, right? And so the dad just drops the whole knife handle in first into the peanut butter. And the daughter's like, no, that's not how it goes. So when you realize we have to break down very granularly what exactly it is that we want to achieve into our prompting, and man, you get such a much better result. And it takes a lot of time interacting with it and realize we're so poor at communication. Ultimately, I could tell you, Scott, how to make a peanut butter sandwich, and you would go do it because we both have that same experience. But to someone like AI that has no context to that, it would do the same thing, right? So prompting is major.
Yep. Yeah, that's a good analogy. I know when we chatted earlier, you're kind of talking about, hey, I want to go from operator to building a team. And I'm curious,
yes,
what does the next stage look like for you?
Building a team, one is, I was just speaking with my wife about this in the car earlier, that one is to take my hand off of things. It's so my nature to give something to someone in the team, and then if it doesn't work, I just kind of take it back over and go fix it because I know how to fix it. But I have to stop and give it away. And it's okay if they're not as good. Even 80% is good, or even 50 at first. But it takes time to develop, just like it took me time to develop. Man, really having the emotional control of let someone else fail their way forward. And two, give them ownership. Instead of do these low level tasks so then I can come to the big level task, I'm now realizing I need to say, here's the big level task. This is your baby, and figure it out, do it. I'm here for your support, here for your help. And that's really changed the way that I'm wired, rather than being a solopreneur to now a team builder. 2-day snapshot of where we are. That's kind of where I'm developing and growing and learning as a business owner.
Yeah. Last question. I wanted to follow up on that because I was wondering, as you start to look forward, because obviously you've had those conversations, what needs to happen in the next 1 to 2 years to feel like you've really scaled to that level?
But man, we have checkpoints, and I think it's good to have meaningful checkpoints, because on the far end of the spectrum, you've got doing no business ever, zero. Well, no one wants that. And then on the opposite end of the spectrum, you have just infinite money, infinite whatever. And I don't think that that's my goal either. I don't endeavor to be like Elon Musk that has zero life and is only dedicated to to work and sleeping in the office and that's just not what I want. But I think it's healthy to have these checkpoints. So you talk about 1 or 2 years. I would love to get to where, the business is grossing. We've kind of framed it like a baseball field. You got a single, a double, and a triple, and then a home run. But kind of a first step goal is where we're consistently bringing in 30 grand a month net, and then 65K a month net, and then 83, which of course is $1 million a year. And we've got these goals, but not just to make money, but what will that give us? We want to build an office space. We want to have a full team. I've got this goal of mine written down that's I want to help create 100 millionaires. Like I want to help interact with 100 people in real estate to help them make $1 million, because real estate has done that for me in such a short amount of time. And so I see all those things. It's what I've realized is profit or revenue, or however you want to phrase it, is the result of bringing meaningful value to people. And so I realized you don't chase the profit, although we have to have revenue, right? But the revenue is the result of doing meaningful things. So find what's meaningful and go add as much value as possible. So really that's the whole point, is we want to grow the team. We've got these revenue goals so that it allows us to hire people, allows us to interact with more. And I don't know if that's a roundabout answer, but that's kind of the
No, it's a great
checkpoints
answer.
we
I
have.
like the way you've positioned it as helping others, because we've had a lot of people on the podcast. I feel like the ones that are the most beneficial are the people that have that mindset of, it's not just here to promote myself, it's here just to talk about like how I want to give back, and that's kind of the
Yes.
purpose of being on here, is because not everybody's a millionaire. So how do you get to that point if you want to be in real estate? So sharing your knowledge and having that attitude, I think, is awesome. So thank you for saying that. So if people want to learn more about you or your business, what's the best way for them to go about doing that?
Now, find me on Facebook or Instagram. It's Jared Frankum. My handle on both is just the same. Send me a message. I would love to see what you're doing and how I could help guide, or if you've got interest in what we're doing. I'm an open book. This business has served me so well. How can I possibly keep it to myself?
That's awesome. Well, thank you, Jared. Thanks for being on the show today. We really appreciate
Yeah, I
it.
appreciate you, Scott. Thank you.